Good evening. Hello and welcome. Welcome everyone who's already on the line. You are live on the line for this evening's AFSCME Council 28 Washington Federation of State Employees telephone town hall meeting we have for you this evening. We did have quite a few folks who dialed in early. We want to thank you so much for being prompt and on time. That way you won't miss a thing this evening. Please bear with me as I do go through this intro a few times as we are dialing out to thousands of members and we don't want anyone to miss a thing. So if you are just joining again, want to welcome everyone. You are live on the line for our AFSCME Council 28 Washington Federation of State Employees telephone town hall meeting we have for you this evening. We'll be having a union update coming, and we'll also address privacy and safety concerns that have been raised by our members. So please stay on the line as we get into the meat and potatoes of our call. A few ways you can participate this evening. If you have a question, comment, or concern, you can press 0 on the keypad on your phone to get in line with that question. Also, if you want to sign up for email updates, it's a great way for us to keep you updated via email. You can press 7 on the keypad on your phone. So again, press 0 on the keypad on your phone to get in line with a question. We already have some takers on that. Looking forward to getting to those a little bit later in the call. And also you can press 7 if you want to provide us your email address to get email updates. That is a great way for us to keep in touch. So again, if you're just joining, I want to welcome all of you. You are live on the line for our AFSCME Council 28 Washington Federation of State Employees telephone town hall meeting. In just a moment here, I'm going to be turning this over to our president, Mike Yestramski. But before we do, want to tell everyone how you can participate this evening. You can get in line with a question by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone. Also, you can press 7 on the keypad on your phone to sign up for e-newsletter updates. That way we can keep you up to date via email. That's a great way for us to keep in touch. So I'll say that periodically throughout the call. But again, that's 0 to get in line with a question and 7 if you want to sign up for email updates. So last time I'll go through this before we get started here. If you are just joining, you are live on the line for this evening's AFSCME Council 28 Washington Federation of State Employees telephone town hall meeting. In just a moment here, you'll get a union update, and this evening we'll also be addressing privacy and safety concerns that have been raised by you, our members. So please stay on the line as we do continue our dial out. But last time here, if you want to get in line with a question, press 0 on the keypad on your phone. We'll get to questions and answers a little bit later in the call. You can also press 7 if you would like to provide us your email address. And with that, I'm going to start this call off by kicking it over to our president, Mike Yestramski. Mike, please take it away.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As we said, I'm Mike Yestramski, your AFSCME Council 28 Washington Federation of State Employees president. So in just over 3 months since Andrea and I have been in office, we've traveled all over the state of Washington to hear your concerns. We visited more than 20 different locals and more work sites than we can count. We've been to Colville, Naselle, Spokane, Bellingham, Seattle, Tacoma, lots of places. So just all over the place, and we're far from done. If we haven't been out to your spot yet, we plan on getting out there. So please let us know if you want us to come see you. So we've decided to hold this town hall today because this is a critical moment in our union, and we want to make sure that we're hearing from all of you. We also have some important updates we want to get to you. So in our travels, one of the big things that we've heard a lot about is, of course, safety, privacy, high cost of living, as well as a lot more. So we have an opportunity to speak up this year for our jobs, our families, and our communities. Whether we're at the state capitol, the work site, or the bargaining table, we make sure that our voices are heard by speaking up together. So the first thing I want to touch on is talking about upcoming contract negotiations. We have a ton of contracts up for negotiation this year, and it will take each and every one of us standing in solidarity to get the best deal for ourselves, our families, and the communities we serve. Our new union siblings at the Attorney General's office will be seeking their first full contract to address pay inequities and caseload issues. Our folks over at ABHS need a contract that addresses safety, staffing, and issues around access. Members at higher ed and all over the state need to know that their jobs won't be outsourced and that they will get the right equipment and staffing that they need to get the job done, as well as so much more. Our interpreters need access to health care and fair pay. And our largest contract, general government, is also up for negotiation. We need a contract that respects our work, addresses safety concerns, and brings more security for our families. We have a lot of work ahead, but if we all stick together and take action when the time comes, I know we will move this ball forward. I want to recognize that we have a few new employees and some who may not have had the chance to join our union yet that are on this line. So your involvement also is absolutely critical to our success. The more of us standing together, the more successful we will be. So if you would like to help us secure good contracts this year, we need you to join us. If you're ready to become a member, you can go ahead and press 8 on your phone right now, and you'll get sent to one of our staff who can talk to you about the many benefits of joining. We will begin addressing some of your questions in just a bit, but right now I'd like to turn it over to my Vice President, Andrea Vaughn. She's going to go over some of our legislative priorities this year, including our efforts to protect state workers' personal information.
Hi, everyone. My name's Andrea Vaughn. If you don't know me, I'm your VP. I'm a Public Benefit Specialist 3 in the Linwood CSO office and a proud member of Local 948. Some of the legislative priorities for us at this time are expanding the scope of collective bargaining to allow language access providers to bargain for health care and also extend collective bargaining rights to the administrative law judges who currently are exempt from the ability to bargain terms and conditions of their employment. We're also looking at preventing the outsourcing of our jobs to profit-driven entities and to provide transparency and oversight when outsourcing is appropriate to supplement our work, and demanding safety and privacy for all public employees. If you have a safety or privacy concerns related to the disclosure of your personal information under the current law, press 1 now. Hopefully, it's not new news that our union has been successful in obtaining a temporary restraining order to prevent the release of our private information in order to provide outreach to workers about exemptions available for employees and or their family members who have been victims of physical or sexual assault, harassment, stalking, or anything else, regardless of its domestic violence relation. We have been reaching out to our legislators about this issue. We will be reaching out to you about opportunities to get involved and instructions on how to reach your legislators. They need to know how serious and important this issue is to public workers. You should have received an email with instructions for those who want to request an exemption. If you would like to leave a message if you meet the temporary restraining order criteria and would like assistance in requesting an exemption, press 9 now to leave us a confidential message. Please leave your name, employer, and contact information, and we will follow up with you. Also, if you have a safety or privacy concern related to the disclosure of your personal information under the current law, press 1 now.
All right.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Andrea.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Thank you. So one of the other things I wanted to do before we get started, for those that don't know, Greg Devereaux, our longtime executive director, will be retiring officially tomorrow. So we just want to take a minute to acknowledge Greg and all that he's done. Again, Greg has been the executive director of WFSE for 25 years and done countless things. We could be here for hours talking about everything that he's done, but really is focused on improving the lives of working people through collective bargaining, through organizing rights, preserving quality and affordable health care for all of our members, as well as just amazing defined benefit pension plans. So after 16 years of lobbying, continuous lobbying, Council 28 won full scope collective bargaining in 2002. So since that time, our membership, our staff, and our budget have more than doubled. So as Greg has said himself, this is because of the hard work of members and staff. And because of that, Council 28 ranks as one of the best councils in AFSCME throughout the country and throughout the greater labor movement. So once again, just wanted to take this time to acknowledge Greg, all the work that he's put in, and thank him for that. So one thing, just to jump in before I do the next piece.
I would like to repeat the number. If you meet the temporary restraining order criteria and would like assistance in requesting an exemption, please press 9 now to leave us a confidential message. Please leave your name, employer, and contact information, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay, so once again, we know how important that is to our members, so we want to make sure that you are getting that information out there. So the next thing is, since I mentioned that Greg will be retiring officially tomorrow, we do have a new executive director. At our last board meeting, our union executive board selected Leanne Kunze to serve as our next executive director. Couple little quick things just for those that don't know Leanne. She came up through rank and file from Minnesota and worked 16 years in public service. Has spent more than 13 years working for AFSCME members across the country. She's the 5th executive director in the history of WFSE and the first woman to serve in this role. And Leanne is also here to answer any questions related to legislative priorities, public disclosure, or anything else like that if need be. So again, please welcome Leanne as our new executive director. So at that, I think we are ready to start taking questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, President. All right, we're going to get started with our question and answer part of this forum. Now we're going to go to Catherine first. But before we do, I want to throw out all those numbers again. I know we gave you a lot of numbers to push. We have a very interactive call this evening, have a lot of people participating. That is fabulous. First off, if you do have a question, you can get in line with that like Catherine did by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone. Also, if you want to provide us your email address, that way we can keep you up to date via email, press 7. We had a large queue in there. We cleared it out. We're ready for everyone to press 7. Again, it's a great way for us to keep you up to date via email, so that is 7. Again, if you can press the 1 right now. We just want to know if you have safety concerns related to the disclosure of your personal information under the current law, that's press 1. You can press 8 to be transferred to our Member Connection Center if you're ready to become a member, and then press 9 for leaving us that confidential message. All right, with that, now we'll go to our first question of the evening. It comes from Catherine of our listening audience, and she says, what changes will we see with the collective bargaining process? Will we see more leave time? Who'd like to reply to that one first?
So I can take that one. This is Mike. So what changes will we see with the collective bargaining process? So that's a pretty broad question. There's, a lot of things are on the table as we go through collective bargaining. Specifically, you mentioned more leave time. So right now, there is a cap on how much leave people can accrue, which actually prevents us from being able to bargain that. However, there are bills currently being debated in the legislature right now that if they were to pass, would raise that cap, which would then allow us to have that room to bargain for additional leave time. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Catherine, for joining our call this evening. Next up, we're going to go to Robert. And his question goes like this. Is there anything being done to get rid of mandatory overtime?
So mandatory overtime, we have heard a lot about that at many, many work sites, especially our state hospitals. I know that is a major issue. So is there anything being done? So there's a lot of things being done. One of the things is we have been working with the governor's office and the legislature under the supplemental budget that Inslee has put out, Governor Inslee, which would give us an additional, I believe it's 70 FTEs, all earmarked for floor staff. So that would be a big part in reducing the cost of overtime. The other, or the need for overtime. The other big issue, big driver of overtime, as we know, is people being out on L&I due to safety concerns. And that, of course, is a major priority this current Council 28 administration. So we are also addressing that both through the supplemental budget, but also through increased training and training opportunities, as well as working with our law enforcement partners around patients that shouldn't necessarily be in those institutions. So those are a handful of things, but we are always looking for more ways to, again, make the job safer for people. And mandatory overtime is definitely one of the major issues that we have heard about and we are attempting to address.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you, Robert, for joining our conversation this evening. Next up to Norma, but want to remind you, you can press 0 to get in line as well. Also press 7 if you want to provide us those email, or if you want us to provide you updates via email. And with that, we have Norma up next, and Norma says, when are we endorsing a candidate, and how will we do this?
Hi, Norma. Thanks. This is a really good question, and it's a question I had for the longest time until I found the answer. We do an endorsement conference. It will be April 18 of this year. You can actually go onto the WFSE website and you can check it and sign up to attend the conference. All members of WFSE can go to this. The more people go, the more our interests are represented towards who we're going to be endorsing as far as political candidates.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. And that was our Vice President. Okay, we are going to go straight on next to Candace. Candace says this: I heard you are still negotiating comp time and also that we may have to bid on it. What is really going on?
Great question, Candace. So as far as the comp time goes, we are currently, so we've actually concluded negotiations just recently. There is a MOU that will be coming out regarding the use of comp time. That MOU will need to be voted on. It will need to be ratified by the membership. We actually started sending out letters to people's homes with instructions on the voting process. When the voting will be open, it'll be done online for ratification, as well as we'll be sending out emails to people to let them know, again, when the voting comes out. Provided that that is passed and ratified, we hope to have the MOU signed almost immediately. We're probably thinking maybe around mid-February, wanting to get it done before President's Day so that we can utilize President's Day as one of the comp time holidays, because I know members have really requested that being a major thing is with the holidays. And the quick understanding of the comp time MOU, just for those who are interested, is it will allow people to take comp time in lieu of overtime for all holidays that are worked, that are the state recognized holidays, as well as, let's say your day off is the regular holiday, the next day is your designated holiday, you can actually use comp time for your designated holiday. People who say have a Thursday off aren't, they don't miss out on getting that Thanksgiving holiday comp time option. So I know that was a bit long because comp time issues can be a little bit complicated, but hopefully that helps give you some clarity on that question.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you, Candace, for that question. Next up, we have Paula, but want to say first, we have cleared out that queue in email updates. So if you want to get email updates from us over the union, press 7 on the keypad on your phone. You'll go and talk to a real person. It'll either be Susie or Tom. Provide them your email address. That's a great way for us to keep you up to date. So that is 7. All right. This one comes from Paula and says, in regards to the February 6th rally on privacy, is there going to be a press conference?
Hi, Paula. This is a great question. The answer is we are inviting media. Press releases are going out, and the rally itself is a public forum, so we do expect that there will be press there, and we do expect that we will have a strong showing out there to show how important this is for all of us as public workers.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Paula, we're going to go to Kevin next. And he said, what can we do to make this threat really real to the public?
Hey, Kevin, thanks for your question. What we can do is send out letters and continue to make calls to all our legislators. We can send letters to newspapers, especially the Seattle Times, and let our voice be heard. It's very important that we show our solidarity together and let everyone see us joining together around this issue.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining our conversation this evening. We're going to go to David next, but first want to mention again, We would like your help in securing good contracts this year, so we want you to join us. If you are ready to become a member, you can press 8 right now. If you press 8, you'll go over and you'll talk to our staff members at the Member Connection Center. And then after you're done there, you'll come back and you can listen to the rest of the call. So again, that is press 8 right now, and then we're going to go to David. He says, on personal information, exactly what kind of information are we talking about here? Great question, David. Who'd like to weigh in on that one?
Hi, this is Leanne. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So at this point, the Washington State Supreme Court this last October made a surprising decision that interprets a very old law for public disclosure to say that the date of birth is not excluded from public disclosure. That had been something that had been barred from release for the last few years under an injunction that we believed was going to prevail. So again, we were quite surprised when that decision came out in October. And since that time, we have a lot of outside organizations and general public who have been making requests. And at this point, it is anything from your full legal name, nicknames, date of birth, including the year, your work address, your work duty station. At this point, it's not clear if that includes those who telework or work from their homes. And it also includes your bargaining unit, your pension information. And at this point, your demographics, any demographics you have voluntarily shared, such as protected classes like race, ethnicity, religion, veteran status. And in the state of Washington, we have protected classes that go further into gender identity, sexual orientation. So if these are things that employees thought they were providing to their employer confidentially, those are now demographics that are available to be released. And as we know, there are groups that are out there that would use that information to hurt and target people in protected classes. And we do not believe that it is appropriate for the employer to be aiding in any way in providing access to that information. And that's why we filed the temporary restraining order. It bridges a gap while we really push for the legislature to update this archaic law. We're not about trying to hurt transparency. Obviously, as an organization in public service, we're very proud of being part of making sure that there is transparency in governance, and that's a lot of what we do. And so it's really hard to swallow what the newspapers, Seattle Times, and various organizations that want to weaponize the First Amendment. Really what we want to do is use the First Amendment to protect you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for weighing in on that, and thank you for that question, David. Great question. All right, we have Eric Eric on the line next. He says, I'm a public benefits specialist. A huge part of our job is to protect the privacy of our clients. Is there anything contractually that holds me to a double standard as far as this is concerned? Great question. Who'd like to take that on?
Hi, it's Andrea. Yes, we protect our clients. However...
So, sorry, this is Mike again. So we do protect our clients, of course we do. But the double standard, I can understand how it seems like that, right? But regardless of what happens to us, employees, we are going to make sure that all of us continue to maintain the highest professional standards to serve our clients, with the absolute quality and care and respect of their personal information as they deserve. And we hope that the legislature will do the right thing and also protect our personal information with that same care and commitment that we show that our clients.
Absolutely. So I think what we want to, kind of focus on double standard, maybe not, but is it a situation of irony? Absolutely. We expect that the services that we provide and the clients we serve are protected, and we're asking for the same. We don't believe that making a choice to go into a career in public service should put you in a position of increased risk to your safety.
All right, awesome. Thank you both for answering that question, and thank you, Eric, for bringing that up and joining our conversation this evening. All right, a last call here for emails. We just cleared our queue again. A last call for this call. If you'd like us to provide you updates via email, we won't do that too often, won't bombard you, and we will never share that email address. You can press 7 on your keypad on your phone right now, last call before the end of the call. And with that, we're going to go to our next question, Tony. She says she's confused about the release of information. At Christmas, she received a card stating that she could save $1,000 for not signing up with the union. So who'd like to weigh in on that?
So this is Mike. Hey, Tony, thanks for that question. So a lot of people received that card. That came from those groups that unfortunately want to destroy unions. They have actually publicly stated that their goals are to reduce our wages, reduce our pensions, reduce our benefits. And this is an attempt for them, to try to do that, to convince people to leave their union. They talk about, the various phrases they use, the Christmas card, the Santa Claus that shows up at people's work sites and all that kind of stuff. But, when you look at the dollars and cents, right, you have to think about it more than that, in the sense of this money, the money that you, quote unquote, could be saving. But what you're giving up, again, in the terms of no longer having that power to get the pay raises that you deserve, to hold the line on healthcare costs, to make sure that you continue to have defined pension benefits as opposed to going into risky market-based 401ks, as well as an ability to have a voice on working conditions and any other number of things that you have within your union. So I do understand where, again, that sounds good on its face, but if you really look at it, and the question that I always wonder about that too is, ask yourself, why are these companies spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to convince you to join, to leave, your union siblings? What do they get out of it? They're not in it for your best interest, despite what they might want to say. So really you have to think, what is at stake here? And what's at stake, again, is your voice in your working conditions and all of the things that come along with that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
Okay, didn't mean to cut you off there. Thank you so much, Tony, for that question this evening and for joining us. Okay, now next one is from Michael, and he says, what is our union doing to ensure we get a pay increase next year?
Okay.
Thanks for the question. The answer is collective bargaining and contract campaigns. I'm sure that there are people that have access to the website where we have been asking for contract proposals and things like that. A lot of people have the same question, and we're working together to get these raises that we know as public workers we deserve.
Another thing I would add to that with a contract campaign, what that really means is that we have a global message that we're all on board, and that we can have talented people at the table, but it's multiple prongs, right? So we need to have a solid presence at the table so that the employer on the other side of the table knows that they are negotiating not just with the people who are sitting at the table, but all of us who are back in our work sites, making sure that that is visible support so the employer knows the leverage that we have. Additionally, once we do well at the table, we have to get to the legislature, and then they vote up or down on our contract. And so it's important for us to continue to be building our political power. And when we talk about politics, we're not talking about partisan, BS. I don't know if there's a rule about swearing on this call. But we all know that no other workforce has more at stake than public employees in the decisions that are made by elected officials. So it would be ridiculous for us to not be engaged in politics. It doesn't matter what letter they have after their name. What matters is if they believe in and support public services and the services that we all provide. That takes involvement. So you want to make sure that you're engaged, you're educated as a voter, that in your workplace you are talking with your coworkers, and that when there are visibility events to demonstrate our leverage and capacity away from the table, that you are participating in a visible way.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, our next question comes from Antonio, and he says, comp time for overtime. He submitted that question before this call. So who wants to weigh in on that?
This is Mike. I'll take that question. So, Antonio, thank you for that question. We mentioned earlier around the comp time proposal, so I know that is a huge, huge issue for people, so I think it's worth mentioning again in case sometimes I speak a little bit in jargon, so if people didn't quite understand what I was saying earlier, it's worth repeating. So we currently have an MOU, which is a Memorandum of Understanding. What that means is we negotiated with OFM, the Office of Financial Management, around the use of comp time. It was a large group featuring representatives from all of the various state institutions, mental health, DDA, various institutions. And once again, so under the current contract language, if this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is not ratified, we would revert back to current contract language, which simply states the employer may grant comp time if they want. And as we know, may more often than not means no. So of course we don't want that. We want something that is more concrete, that people will definitely be allowed to earn comp time if they want it. So the current proposal that, again, people will be voting on and hopefully will be ratifying and supporting will allow people to, on holidays or your designated holiday, if the holiday itself falls on your day off, and take your designated holiday, those 2 times, if you work on those times, in lieu of getting paid out for overtime, you can choose to accrue comp time for those days. And if we have any other questions about the comp time MOU, both when the voting instructions come out and during that, definitely please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to the MCC, reach out to anyone else here at the Federation who can answer those questions. We are more than happy to do so. Because again, I know this is a major, major, major issue for people, and we really want to make sure we get this right, and we really want to make sure that people fully understand what it is that they're voting on. Thank you, Antonio, for that question and for that chance to clarify maybe some of the stuff that I ran through a little too quickly earlier. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mike. All right, we'll keep chugging here. We have Adriana next on the phone and says, WFO, we are being penalized if we are not adhering to this program. Is there anything being done to protect us?
So this is Andrea. Adriana, this is a really good question. Coming from the Community Service Office, I dealt with workforce optimization, WFO, and I understand the penalization that we have all been feeling. There was actually a survey sent out from WFSE to all of those that work in the CSO asking, how is it affecting your job? How is it affecting your job performance? And what do you think the next step should be taken to change how it's affecting folks? I know that it's been something that we've discussed over and over again. Also, I think another thing is coming to policy meetings and meeting with human service policy across the state, folks that also work in CSO offices in Spokane and things like that, collecting the data, putting it together, and then coming up with a game plan together and following that plan is a big part of it. So if you didn't receive the survey, reach out, let us know that you didn't get the survey about WFO and how it's affecting you and your job, and we'll make sure that you get it, and then we'll process that data and continue working towards mitigating the issues that it's causing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Adriana, for bringing that up. All right, next up we have Rhonda on the phone, and she says, I have a safety concern. Is it true that us employees aren't allowed to carry guns in the DSHS buildings, but the clients can?
This is Mike. Thank you, Rhonda, for that question. So, I'm going to be perfectly honest. This is the first I've heard of this issue. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. So again, as I said, I really don't know with that one. I haven't heard it before, but I do appreciate you asking it. And what I can tell you is that now that has been raised, I just made a note of it here that I'm going to look into that, and one of us will get back to you and follow up with you on that issue, because that's obviously something that we want answered. So yeah, again, thank you for bringing that up. We will get an answer for you and get back to you on that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you, Rhonda. All right, next up from the phones is Elise, and says, when will we get the results appeals process?
So, hi, Elise. This is Leanne. I'm going to make an assumption that this is regarding the IT restructure, which has been going on for years, where this summer we were all hands on deck with over 1,000 folks who individually were looking at appealing their placement on this statewide IT restructure. I think we can all share in the frustration of the process and how tedious it is, and that each individual had to file an individual appeal instead of us being able to appeal in various classifications. We got through that part of the process, and now it's in the hands of the employer. And the last we heard from the employer is that, obviously they're working on it as on a day-by-day basis, but with the amount that they have us in addition to other bargaining units, they're thinking it could take up to a year. Hopefully that's not what it's going to take. We're also looking at alternative job actions where we can raise awareness for the ability to have resolution prior to the results of the appeal process. So recognizing the frustration, this is totally in the employer's hands. This was their IT structure, and we are continuing to fight. We also expect an update from the employer in the next week, and we will be having an email come out from your leadership to the folks who have IT appeals still pending to let you know what we're hearing from the employer with more details as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elise, back to you for a second, Mike.
Yeah, so thank you for Leanne for answering that. I just wanted to jump in again. If you're listening and you aren't already a member of our union and you want to be a member of our union to help us secure good contracts, as also to help us identify and fix a lot of the working condition issues that have come up, please go ahead and press 8 on your phone right now. Again, we have people standing by who will help walk you through that process. And it's really important that you do so, because honestly, in order for all of us to get this done, we can't do it alone. We have to do it together, and understanding that the more of us stand together, the stronger we are, and the more that we have the ability to demand that our voices be heard. So once again, if you're ready to join us, please go ahead and press 8 on your phone now, and we'll walk you through that process. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. Right back to questions. We have lots of great questions coming in. Keep them coming. You can press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Also, I know I said the last call before, but our staff did a great job clearing the queue. So you can press 7 still if you'd like to receive those email updates. So we've got Catherine on the phone next, and she is interested in sponsoring new workers toward the union. How does she go about that?
Catherine, this is Andrea. Thank you. This is a wonderful question. I think that a lot of us have this question. If you can call the Member Connection Center right now, so we can get you connected locally for training and assistance. The number for that is 1-833-622-9373. And once again, I'll repeat the number, 1-833-622-9373.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. What a great question, Catherine. Okay, so you did hear just a moment before. You can press 8 Again, you can press 9 if you would like to leave us that confidential message. If you'd like assistance in requesting an exemption, you can press 9. And we're going to go to our next question of the evening. It says, why aren't legislators doing more to protect my personal information? And that comes from Amy.
Okay, Amy, this is Mike. Thanks again for that question. As we've been talking about a lot tonight, the personal information is, of course, a huge issue for people. I'm going to tell you a quick little story about myself. I'm a social worker in a behavioral health setting. As all of us, right, we want to protect our personal information, but some of the work that we do, we work with the public, and there are potentially bad actors who would want to use that information poorly. So with that, why aren't legislators doing more? What it really comes down to is the media, especially the Seattle Times, is one of the big ones in the area, is very, very, very much opposed to this. It also, might be worth looking into who actually owns the Seattle Times and what their true agenda is, but that's where a lot of the issue is coming from, is that, legislators are elected and the media controls a lot of, controls the narrative, and they can say really great things about you. They can say really poor things about you. And as elected officials, I think that they are afraid of angering the Seattle Times and their ilk. Now, where we push back on that is, again, that's where we need all of you to contact your elected officials, whether that's through phone, whether that's through email, or whether that's even coming down and visiting. If you're a member and you want to come down and visit one of your elected officials, let us know. We can set up a date, a time. You tell us what date and time you want to come down. We'll actually go ahead and even make those appointments for you to meet with the elected officials that represent your district, so you can tell them personally why that's so important and why your personal information needs to be protected and why they need to support HB 1888.
And I would just like to add to that, you yourself coming is really important, but if you can bring your family, it's really, really important to let legislators know that you have a family and you are a real person. I've personally brought my own child down with me, and he's been able to talk to legislators and kind of let them know that not only is this affecting an employee, it's affecting their whole family. And there's also no such thing as too many calls and emails to legislators or the Seattle Times because they're weaponizing our rights and protections. Together we have to win this fight, and it's going to take all of us to do that. So let's join together and get this done.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and thanks for that great question, Amy. All right, next up we have Kimberly on the phones. Her question says, how can we find out if our jobs are in danger of being outsourced? I've been a union member for a long time, and I've never had to worry about this before.
Hi, Kimberly. This is Leanne. So it's not like there's a list out there. That would be nice. Really what it is watching the relationships and the power differentials. Here in the state of Washington, I think we've been very fortunate, but we also cannot be complacent. We can look to the state of Wisconsin just 1 decade ago. That was very similar to where we are here in Washington, and all it took was one election with the wrong viewpoints towards public services and public workers to turn Wisconsin into a state where a lot of public workers have lost access to collective bargaining. They've lost access to pension. They are paying a significant amount of money towards their health care and trying to rebuild their union because they didn't understand the value of it and the connection to politics and elections. So thankfully, we've learned from that, and here the members have been very engaged over the years, making sure that we're aware of what's at stake so we don't give up our voice and our vote to those who would love nothing more than to silence our voices. They have specific fundraising agendas to get rid of government in general, and they want to take it piece by piece. So if they can find areas where there's weakness, or if there are politicians who end up gaining majorities that are anti-public services, we risk funding issues, which would then cause layoffs. So that's one way jobs can go away. We also risk there being, corruption or special interests that have jobs go into the private sector. You can imagine being close by to Microsoft here. I'm sure they would love nothing more than to be able to expand their, economy of scale and be able to take over all the IT work for the state. We need to be able to protect that because public services are driven by need and care and not profit driven. So it's really about making sure that we are together, that we are pooling our resources to be able to fight together what none of us can fight alone, so that when we get hints of jobs or classifications that are at risk of outsourcing, that we are prepared to be able to defend and fight that. And we've been able to do that over the years. We're one of the last states in the whole country that still has public institutions for our most vulnerable populations. In most states, this work has gone into the private sector. The quality has gone down, and the most vulnerable in our society are not getting their basic needs met, and that's just not okay. So we need to protect what we've got. We want to make sure our membership is strong so we have the power to save these jobs. And the other piece is the legislation that's pending right now to protect against outsourcing. We need that to pass, and what that does is make sure that they have to go through a very transparent process to demonstrate how it benefits the people of Washington if something is looking at being outsourced, and most definitely that it should be a situation where they're supplementing or supporting our work, not taking it away. Great question.
All right, to you, Andrea, for a second.
So once again, if you meet the temporary restraining order criteria to exempt your information and would like assistance in requesting an exemption, please press 9 now to leave us a confidential message. Please leave your name, employer, and contact information, and we will follow up with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now on to Carolyn on the phone with a great question. She says, how can we review the information that is currently on file with our employer that would be released?
Hi, this is Andrea. That's a great question. The suggestion is that you ask your HR. If you reach out to them by email, and then you can have a record of their response going forward, you can know exactly what they said and when they said it, and if the answer changes, you'll have that verification.
Perfect. Excellent. Short and sweet. That's the way we like it. Okay, we're going to go to a question now that came in earlier today on the web registration. It comes from Larry and goes like this. Are local 1671 members' birth dates also exposed to public disclosure? We are independent contractors, not state employees or public servants. And incidentally, we are the unloved stepchildren. We frequently feel marginalized from Council 28 business.
Okay, so as far as the birth dates go, those are not, as independent contractors, because you guys are not state employees, that is not up for public disclosure. As for the broader issue, both Andrea and I have actually been spending a lot of time with the 1671 leadership. We just went to the 1671 executive board meeting this past Friday, so less than a week ago. We have been in a lot of contact with your leadership within your local on ways that we can help, really expand the rights that you guys are doing. We have a lot of stuff, or the rights that you guys have with the work that you're doing. We're very much interested in helping to continue that work. So if you have any further issues around that, again, please reach out to us. We're always willing to listen to members with their concerns in any way that we can be of help.
And just to add to that, I know that we had wanted to come to your e-board meeting, your local meeting, and we actually had a special e-board meeting that we had to attend. We will be attending your local meeting. We would like to come out to, your different areas and visit with your members. We know that you're spread across the state. That does will not see you. It is our commitment to you to come see you, and we want to recognize the population that you guys are part of.
So thank you.
All right, excellent. Sorry, I'm stepping on you again, Mike. My apologies. Okay, we're going to keep going on. We've got Megan up on the phone next, and she says, please repeat the phone number for exemption.
Yeah.
So just once again, if you meet the temporary restraining order criteria and would like assistance in requesting an exemption, press 9 now to leave us a confidential message. Please leave your name, employer, and contact information, and we'll follow up with you. That's the number that you would press right now while you're in this call. Or you can email to protect@wfse.org from your personal email, please.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. All right, we'll keep going on. Now we've got Thomas. This is, what do we have to say about the political endorsements? How do the members express our choices, who we want to support?
So, Thomas, we thank you for that call. So the easiest way is to attend the WFSE Endorsements Conference that is currently scheduled for April 18th in Seattle. If you want more information on that, again, let us know. We can get you the exact address. We'll get you signed up for that. Any member who attends, you get a vote in who we endorse or who we do not endorse. One of the things that I've always liked about the Washington Federation of State Employees and our endorsement process is we are very democratic in that process, meaning that it is the members who decides. And we actually, contrary to what a lot of people might think, we endorse, elected officials or candidates across all political parties, affiliations. Our concern is we want to make sure that we are endorsing and supporting officials who support labor and support state employees, support public employees. So that is kind of our number one criteria for endorsements. So, yeah, if you want to be involved in that, we definitely would love to have you. Because the reality is no workforce has more at stake in the decisions made by elected officials than public employees. So we want you involved in that political process. Another way you can get involved in the political process if you want is if you are a member, you can also join the People program, which is another way that that is a separate program that helps fund the endorsement conferences, the trainings, the political activities that we do. Again, extremely important. That funds our lobby days down on the Hill and all of that kind of stuff. So definitely, if you have any interest in politics, please get involved. I'll tell you again a little personal story. That was one of the ways that I first got involved in my union, was being involved in the political process within my union. And it's incredibly important. Public employees have the most at stake of all people. So please get involved, reach out to us, and we would love to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for weighing in with that, Thomas. Okay, we're going to go to another Thomas next. It says, as far as work classifications, mine hasn't been kept up with what I actually do. What has happened with that as a bargaining issue?
So, hi, this is Mike. Again, so probably the best way to do that would be to contact our MCC, which is 1-833-622-9373, and then they will assist you with setting up a desk audit. If it's more, an individual thing, but if it's highly felt across the job class, then that's something that could also be a bargaining proposal or even something that we do a job action around. But either way, whether it's, individual or whether you feel it's your whole job class, I would suggest that you still submit your info, go through the MCC. Once again, that number is 833-622-9373. Or you can email mcc@wfse.org. and then they will assist you with that. And the more info we have on that, the stronger we can be. So thank you, Thomas, for that question.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Thomas. Okay, we're going to go to a question we got earlier today. Kind of we've seen it a few times, so here we go. I want to talk to my legislators. Can you help me get in touch? And that's from Stephen, but a few others as well.
So the answer is, if you get in touch, we can give you a phone number. The number is 1-855-982-1762. You can call and you can leave them messages, but you can also come down here to Olympia. You can get scheduled to see the people that you need to see that represent your area particularly, and you can meet with them and talk to them face to face. It really makes a huge impact when you actually meet with them because they're people too. And so connecting with other people makes a big difference. You can also visit our website. It's WFSE.org, where you can sign up to attend a lobby day. It doesn't have to be a specific day with a huge group of people. It could be just you, or it could be you and your family, but coming down and connecting with them, letting them know what your concerns are will make a difference.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone who asked that. Next up, Charlene says, I am a state employee who provided documentation of being a survivor of domestic violence. Releasing my information would allow my offender to find me. I also work with at-risk teens who are all violent, and most are gang members. What can I do?
That's a great question. I'm glad that you went ahead and provided your information requesting the exemption. I'm assuming that means that you sent something to protect@WFSE.org. That is a confidential email that we set up specifically for this outreach during our temporary restraining order. And that information will remain confidential. We do need to provide a status update to the courts at the end of February, and that will not include identifiable information. If the courts ask for that, or if the defendants ask for that information, we will not release that without a promise of the court in writing that it would be sealed and not available for public or for the defendants.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you, Charlene, for coming up with that question. Okay, next up from Margaret. What can I do to get more involved in my union?
Thanks, Margaret. There's a lot of ways. So the easiest way, hopefully, is that you have already signed in as a member. You've already joined us. That's obviously the first step, is joining in as a member of the union. And then, you can attend your local meetings. You can attend, as we've talked about, lobby days, the political process. You can always call the MCC. That number, again, 833-622-9373. If there are specific ways that you would want to get involved, things that you might want to do, they can help you with that. If you follow us on social media, you'll see a lot of updates as far as where we're going to be, rallies that are going on, ways to get involved, again, by, say, emailing legislators or contacting the media, any number of things. It's really up to you how you most want to be involved, right? So we want to allow you to do that in whatever way works best for you, but we definitely encourage you to reach out to us and let us know.
Also, you can attend your local meetings. A lot of times people forget that union is family. Local meetings you can bring your family to. A lot of the events that we have you can bring family and friends to if that's who you're close to. Also, if you want to be a shop steward, you can reach out and find out when the next shop steward training is in your local area. It really has to do with what works best for you in being involved in your union.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's a great reminder. Okay, next up question. I am so sorry if I slaughter your name here. I believe it's Og Bamick, who says, question about protecting privacy of employees is very important. Why do they need all this personal information instead of using office phone number and information?
This is Andrea. They actually don't need that information. They are just asking that our employer be obligated to hand it to them for whatever reason they feel is necessary. And once again, this is a concerted effort that includes the Seattle Times and other folks that have other ways to access information if need be for any type of.
Definitely what we are, what we know is that this is exploitation of an archaic law that had intent to ensure transparency, which is something that we all believe in. However, it's being exploited and weaponized, and we need to protect individual identities, and that is why this is a big fight, and we need everybody calling their legislators, writing them, writing letters to the editor, and just, being relentless about this. We have a very short window. There's significant urgency, and the time is now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Next up, we have Morgan. Morgan says, what are you doing to recruit young and new people into membership?
Thank you, Morgan. That's a great question. So obviously, we respect all of our members, regardless of age. So the people that have been around for a long time, we want them to stick around and continue to help grow this union. But we also understand that, we're an aging workforce and people are retiring, and it is important for us to have the voice and the energy of the newer employees, the younger people coming in. So again, as we mentioned earlier about being involved, signing up for your membership, joining the union, attending local meetings, things like that. The other thing that we have going on is what's referred to as the Next Wave Committee, which is a caucus, which is an AFSCME caucus specifically designed for union members, younger variety, kind of varies depending on what council you're in, but generally it's 35 and under. So that's one thing. It's very important because statistics are showing heavy trends that young workers actually really understand the value of unions and are really energetic and helpful in enforcing direct actions with the employer when need be. So to all of you young people, please come in, and all of you not so young people, either stay in, or if you're not in, join us anyways. We welcome anyone who wants to be a part of this movement. We want you to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that. Great question, Morgan. Okay, up next we have Nicholas, who says, protecting privacy. Oh, nope, I already read that way. Okay, sorry, that was on Bandic. All right, Nicholas is, what are you doing to address caseload amounts? Most of us are beyond budget.
So this is Leanne, and what I can tell you at this point, caseloads are not considered a mandatory subject of bargaining, so it's not something that the employer is required to bargain with us. However, this is a perfect example of where we can do direct actions to demonstrate our strength in numbers, to be able to ratchet up with escalating tactics to demonstrate this needs to change, whether it's a mandatory subject or not. There are multiple areas where this is an issue. A lot of times we see the articles about child protection, foster care, juvenile court. One of the things that I know we were successful in obtaining a memorandum of agreement during our first contract with the Assistant Attorneys General Bargaining Unit that just got collective bargaining this last year, that they have a work group that is dedicated to studying the caseloads and the impacts on the services and ongoing impacts on both staff and outcomes in courts. So it's things like that where we have opportunities to share the best practices. A lot of areas will have national standards and recommendations of caseload sizes. And we have the power collectively when we come together to demand that type of restriction and recommendation so that our caseloads are manageable and so that we have folks that are able to provide the services in a manner that is not putting people at further risk because of the inability to spend adequate amount of time on each case. So depending, Nicholas, on which department you're with, I highly recommend you talking with coworkers, find out who your shop steward is, and you can also call the Member Connection Center that we've been referring to as the MCC to talk about ways to engage your coworkers if they're not already regarding these caseloads, so that we can draw attention and seek funding and caseload sizes that will improve not only our workers' lives, but the lives of those we serve.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nicholas, for joining our conversation this evening. And with that, we have reached the end of our allotted time. We actually went over our allotted time trying to squeeze in as many of these great questions as possible. If you still have your question, comment, or concern that we were not able to get to on this call, we absolutely still want to hear from you. You can do that a few ways. In just a moment here, I'm going to turn this over to our President, Mike, who's going to take us to the finish line. If you stay on the line throughout his ending comments, you'll be able to leave us a message. We do ask that you please leave us a message. If you want us to get back to you, leave us a good way to contact you, your email address, your phone number, and your name. Spell it slowly, please, so we have a fighting chance. Also, you can always call us at the MCC that we've been referring to this evening, the Member Connection Center. That number is, sorry, my box keeps jumping, is 833-622-9373. Again, 833-622-9373. You can also email us that question at mcc@wfse.org. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, Mike, to take us to the finish line.
So thank you again. Thank you, everyone who joined us. I know there was a lot of people on the call. We did our best to try to get to everyone, but we understand that there was limited time. So if we didn't get to your question, once again, please email us. I'm going to say it again so you guys remember, mcc@wfse.org, or you can call us 833-MCC-WFSE, which is 833-622-9373. Again, please reach out. We definitely want to hear from you. Again, I want to thank everyone who participated in this. I think this went really well tonight. We always want to hear from, all of our members and all of your concerns, good and bad. If you think that things are going well, let us know, because that's good to hear. But if there's stuff that that isn't going well, also let us know, because we don't know what to work on if you don't tell us. You are on the front lines. You are on the work sites doing the work day in and day out. You are the experts at your job, and we depend on you to let us know how we can be of assistance to you and how we can provide you the support and the resources you need to have a safe working environment, to make enough money that you can support your family and that you can hopefully one day retire with dignity. All of those are not crazy things to ask for. They're not unreasonable, but the reality is there are people out there who are fighting to take that away from you. So that's why it's so important for all of us to stick together. So once again, thank you for joining. And if we didn't address your question, please reach out to us and we will follow up with you later. And we hope to do this again in the future. Thank you.